Army hearties, it's the Runnin' Pirate. This is 9/11 weekend, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to share with you a couple things that are of significance to me. I'm standing next to the World Trade Center poster. This is the movie that came out about 10 years ago, starring Nicolas Cage, directed by Oliver Stone, probably the most unbiased thing he's ever done, which is why there's the absence of an American president in the film. But to the film's credit, it really does capture the unity that America went through shortly after 9/11, and hopefully that we can recapture again without the need of such a horrific tragedy to happen. So, fingers crossed and hands folded on that one. I'm actually reporting to you not from a movie theater, but from Six Flags. Let me demonstrate. Okay, over here, this is a classroom that my master teacher resides in, and I'm actually a student teaching in. We have O Canada, and back over this way, we have Great Britain and Belgium. Those are both from embassies in Belgium. A buddy of my master teacher's sent him the Afghanistan flag, so that's pretty cool. And brace yourself. We have the Soviet Union flag. Now, just so you know, this is not because I'm a closet commie. This is not because I'm part of the Red Scare Club. It's just representing the part of history that was. No political aspirations, just simply saying this is the tapestry that is history. Free world, Soviet world. And, of course, last but not least, we have Old Glory, front and center of the classroom. Well, kind of front and center, depending on what side of the class you stand on. But head and shoulders above all other flags, and we still pledge allegiance to it. So, with all this in mind, let me just kind of share with you a couple of memories. One, back in 1993, my sister and I and our dad went up to New York City. The first and only time that my sister and I have ever been there. And we got to go up into the Empire State Building and had our pictures taken looking out the window at Manhattan Island. I'm about 12 years old. My sister's 14. I look a little different. But it's like I've been telling my students, because as you can see, the Twin Towers are there, which, as cool as it was, we had no idea in just 8 years from that point, they would not exist anymore. They're gone. So I've been telling my students today in the last couple of days that whenever you go someplace like a national monument or a museum or a national park, anywhere of significance, don't be afraid to use your cameras and to snapshot those moments. Capture them, because they're important, and you never may realize until a few years from now just how significant they really are. That's not just a family memory now. It's actually history, frozen in time. And it's pretty interesting to have that in my hands now at this point. And so the other thing I wanted to talk about is my actual 9/11 experience with you. Let's see, I was 20 years old at the time. I was stationed on Okinawa, Japan. I was a private first class in the Marine Corps. And that was before I became a pirate captain. And I remember there was a typhoon, and some buddies of mine and I were in my room watching some movies. I believe it was the Alien movies with Sigourney Weaver. And my roommate came walking in, and he said, "Fellas, we're going to war." And he had just come from the lounge where the news coverage was on, and he had seen the first plane hit the first tower, and then the second plane hit the second tower, which meant all bets are off. This is a terrorist attack. So he came and told us. We went running in, and before I even made it to the lounge, I remember a Marine shouting out that the Pentagon had been hit. And so we were just watching this coverage of D.C. and New York, completely dumbfounded, enraged, upset, and security got amped up. I actually was on camp guard for a little while after that, and but I just remember, even if I wasn't in the U.S., I'm sure if we'd seen signs of Uncle Sam saying, "I want you to join the armed forces," nobody would have been ridiculing them, because the spirit was just that high at that time. And, even though I wouldn't have shared it at the time because it was a little awkward too, I was also afraid. I was scared. And the reason is because it wasn't as much about losing my life as much as everything was happening so suddenly, I just didn't know if I was ready. So I called a gunnery sergeant that was in charge of a men's group I was frequenting at the time. I've since lost contact with him, but he told me 3 things. 1, check my heart. 2, get all my priorities in order, make sure everything's done to the best of my ability. and to let everybody in my life know that I love them. Particularly back home, all my friends and family. And so, having done all those three, just let God take care of the rest. And so this weekend, if you're going into it feeling down, or if you're going through a hard time, or especially if you're grieving, or if you have some sort of a depression you're going through, I want to encourage you with the scripture, Jeremiah 29:11. God knows the plans He has for us, plans to prosper and not harm us, but to give us a future and a hope. Prosperity doesn't necessarily mean material wealth, but it does mean that if we give our lives to God, He gives us the best possible life than we could ever imagine for ourselves. It doesn't mean it's easy. It does mean it's still hard. We still go through the hard times. We're still imperfect people. But we allow God to take control. And when we do that, we have the guarantee of a future and a hope. So I just want to leave you with those words. If you see anybody in uniform or in the service, give them a hug. Let them know they're appreciated. Our lives wouldn't be the same without them. And until next time, this is the Running Pirate, and I'll catch you on the next wave.